They say courage fades when the battle ends. But what if it's only sleeping? The sound hit the hall like lightning, not loud but sharp, precise, spoken in a language most in the room had never heard. Conversation stopped mid-word, boots froze mid-step, pens hovered over paper. And then she stopped. Lena. 26. Quiet, unremarkable to anyone who passed her, a cleaning lady in a plain gray uniform whose life usually revolved around mop, bucket, floor. She'd been gliding toward the far wall, lost in the rhythm of work, when that voice, those exact syllables, split the air. A call she'd hoped never to hear again. Her grip on the mop tightened until her knuckles blanched, her breath locked in her chest. The general's gaze swept the hall like a searchlight. When it found her, the marble floor seemed to hum beneath her shoes. Once she had worn a different uniform, mud-stained, blood-marked, and bearing a medic's armband. Barely 20, she had served in a war the headlines ignored. She remembered the sting of antiseptic laced with dust, the pounding of boots in the dirt, the desperate shouts for her. And those same words, barked in that same tone, had been the emergency rally. Gather the wounded, brace for impact, hold the line at all costs. She had believed the man who once gave that order was gone. She had believed her war was over. She was wrong. Someone in the crowd whispered, "What language is that?" The general didn't answer. He stood unmoving, a wall of authority wrapped in medals and discipline. And without willing it, her feet moved. She crossed the hall, each step dragging shadows of her past behind her. She saw herself hauling a bleeding soldier on her back, knees trembling, hands stitching torn flesh by flashlight. She felt again the crushing silence after the final gunshot. At the front, the general's voice softened, but the weight remained. "Report," he said, in the language only they shared. Her reply was instant. "Name, rank, unit." The words felt both foreign and like home. Gasps rippled through the room. People leaned forward, sensing they were witnessing something rare. She told him of that night. The chaos, the frantic work to save lives, the screams that still woke her from sleep, the bitter retreat. She spoke of running under fire, trading the medic's satchel for a mop, combat boots for sneakers, leaving behind a life she'd never spoken of here. The general listened, silent but with eyes that glistened faintly. Then he stepped away from the podium, the medals on his chest catching the light as he placed his hand firmly on her shoulder. "You answered the call when no one else could," he said, "and you've done it again today." Along the walls, young soldiers straightened. A polite clap began, swelling into applause that rolled across the marble like a wave. Lena's throat tightened. For years she had melted into the background. Now every face was turned toward her. Part of her longed to disappear, but the general kept her there. "Bravery doesn't fade," he told the crowd. "And it doesn't need a uniform to be real." In that moment, the years she'd thought were lost came back to her, not as pain but as proof that what she had done mattered. Because kindness doesn't die. It waits. And when the time comes, it finds its way home. As the applause faded, Lena returned to her mop, but the marble hall no longer felt cold. And when she glanced over her shoulder, the general was still watching, not as a stranger, but as a soldier whose story had finally been heard.